The SCOTUS has now ruled on the Biden administration mandates, which, as we discussed at length this morning on TDR, I will remind you because you will almost never hear it, are not vaccine mandates. They're mandates that mandate either vaccinations or testing. The testing part is always dropped off in the discussions of this. Seems like something we should note. But in any event, the court struck down the president's mandate, which used OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, to compel private employers to force employees to either get jabbed or submit to regular testing. Biden was handed the defeat by a 6-3 decision with only the court's liberals dissenting. 6-3 is a number you're gonna want to get used to for the next 15 years or so, maybe 20, because it's gonna crop up in a lot of cases, really devastating ones too. So that one went the way the right wingers want. Get rid of the mandates, allow COVID to spread as freely as it wants, allow it to feed on the American people. So they liked that, but Brett Kavanaugh is finding himself facing the scorn of the right because he sided with Chief Justice John Roberts and the court liberals to save a mandate for medical facilities which accept Medicare or Medicaid payments. The mandate for healthcare workers there to comply with vaccination or testing scraped by in a 5-4 decision. So the right is not happy about that. It's a much more minor mandate in terms of how many people it would affect than the private employer one. The private employer one would have covered 80 million employees. It was believed, I think, that it would have saved something like 2,500 lives. Feel free to check that number. Those lives will now be lost. And the right is very angry about the minor loss that they had here. Fox News writer Kyle Becker tweeted, Kavanaugh's selection earns a facepalm for the Trump administration. You would think after leftists smeared his reputation with false rape allegations, he would give them the time of day. Thank the turtle in charge of the Senate for his nomination. So his argument there is that because lefties were mean to him, he should rule differently than he thinks is just when he gets into the Supreme Court. That's an interesting position. Ron DeSantis had this to say, we won 6-3 on that, the first, which is good, but honestly, this is a no-brainer. Anybody who's not a far left jurist is gonna go that way. But on the medical, the nurse mandate and the doctor mandate, Roberts and Kavanaugh joined with the liberals to allow the nurse mandate. Honestly, Roberts and Kavanaugh didn't have a backbone on that decision. That's the bottom line. And if that isn't enough, take a look at what Tucker Carlson had to say about Kavanaugh in particular.
Right now we have a 3-1 in terms of the number of the federal mandates that President Biden has tried to push. 3 of them have been struck down so far, and only the one today with healthcare workers, which I disagree with, but that has gone forward. So 10 million healthcare workers do have to get vaccinated if they wish to keep their jobs in a covered facility, which is really unfortunate given the massive shortage that we have of healthcare workers right now in our hospitals.
Yeah, with no help from Brett Kavanaugh, I notice. Cringing little liberal.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm not going to ask you to respond to that.
Easily among the creepiest people on TV, and it's not talked about enough. But yeah, they got virtually everything that they wanted there, and they're frustrated with the prospect, the idea that nurses and doctors should either be vaccinated or be tested. They would prefer them to be sick with COVID as they are administering to patients coming to the hospitals. But yeah, they're not happy with Kavanaugh or John Roberts here. What do you have to say about this, Francesca?
Well, yeah, and the way that they're criticizing Kavanaugh, using the rape allegations, and to say nothing of the dozens of investigations that were never pursued into Kavanaugh's background, which are still being investigated now, or hopefully, like the way they talk about it in such crass terms, people using terms like, oh yeah, Kavanaugh really dry humped this situation, or yeah, this is a real rape situation. Like it gives you a sense, this gives you a sense of where we are as a country. You know, you have people like Kirsten Sinema and even Joe Biden thinking that somehow you can Republican whisper and these people are gonna come around. No, they are crass, they are immoral, and they love being crass and immoral. They love the blood on their hands. They are proud of it. They are proud, and they parade around the idea of freedom, which doesn't exist, and it grosses me out. And so I'm just like, look, in the face of them having such little regard for nurses and doctors, what's our plan? What are we gonna do about it? And so far, we don't have anything.
There it is. It is, John. I'm just Francesca laid it down.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, it's like so. This by itself would be frustrating enough that it's not like Biden has come up with like a 57-point list of the ways that he's going to save America from the pandemic. But he's done a few things. He's certainly encouraged vaccination. He has, in the areas where they felt they could pass, it's called passing constitutional muster when it's really passing an overwhelming conservative majority of the Supreme Court in terms of mandates. He has done that. And so, but here's the thing that makes it even more frustrating. So they just knocked down the mandate. So 80 million workers will either not have to get vaccinated or won't have to be tested. So they will be potentially walking around with COVID without knowing. You will be exposed to more of your coworkers that won't know that they have COVID. And all the while, as the inevitable comes from that, which is more sickness, more hospitalization, more death, the right wing will then say, how come Biden's doing so poorly when it comes to the pandemic? He said he was gonna have this thing under control. They criticized Trump, and yet Biden had so many deaths. Don't wear a mask, don't get vaccinated, don't comply with mandates, get as much COVID as possible, cough in my mouth. And somehow they're still shocked that it isn't going so well here. So they're really having their pathogen and eating it too here.
Yeah, the world is all the way upside down, John. Bottom line, let's go on bottom line this. The world is upside down. We in the twilight zone.
Yeah.
Seriously.
No, and you're totally right. They will say exactly that. Oh, I thought it was supposed to go so well. Yeah, you prevented it from going better. And by the way, liberals and Republicans alike, we're gonna be hearing a lot of like, gee, what's going on with the labor shortage? It seems like nobody wants to work. I don't ever want to hear the words labor shortage out of anyone's mouth ever again. Ever. Like, stop with the op-eds, stop with your smarmy little like Wall Street executive, sort of glass tower, ivory tower takes on all this. People are staying home because they don't want to get sick. They don't want to infect their loved ones, right? Absolutely. And not to mention all that we're doing to protect the pig-headed anti-vaxxers still at this point, still trying to keep them from dying, but really we are the ones, people who are staying home, people who are being cautious, actually are the ones who are trying to look out for nurses and hospitals,
Universal health care, Francesca and John, too. Let me just slide that on into this conversation. Because in the face of something of this magnitude, we got these folks on Capitol Hill that do not understand that this is the time to have universal health care right now, while we got this kind of life and death crisis on our hands in this country and in the world.
Yeah. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.